Okay, so last class we have learned about uh, for loops, correct? So in this class we will learn about while loops, and then we will learn about two statements, which is break and continue, and we will learn about a special else block that can be attached with a for loop. So let's say we have a for loop like this: for x in range, and let's say I write 0 comma 5, okay, and I will print the value of x. So if I run this program, what is the possible output that I will get? 0 1 2 3 4, excluding the last one. So if I run this program, I will get 0 1 2 3 4 as my output, right? 0 1 2 3 4. Now the same way, the same iterations or the same process can be done, it can be achieved in a while loop as well. So let's say what will be the equivalent implementation for a while loop. I will just I will comment out this code. I will just write a while loop. Let's say while, okay, x less than 5, print the value of x, okay. I will declare the value of x initially as 0, okay, and I will print the value of x, and I will do a x plus equals to 1, an increment of 1 for the value of x, okay. So if I run this code, will I get the same output as the for loop? Let's run this code. 0 1 2 3 4, I get the same output as that of the for loop. So this is how a while loop is written, okay. A while loop can also be called as an entry control loop. Why is it called an entry control loop? Because the condition during the time of entry is evaluated first, and if that condition evaluates to true, only then you can enter the loop body. If this condition at the time of entry, if this condition at the time of entry is false, then it won't enter the loop body, okay. So we will see how the while loop operates line by line. So let's say I attach a debugger over here, and I will run start debugging. Let's say Python file, okay. So let's run this one by one. Let's say x equal to 0. Let's execute this statement, x equal to 0. Execute. I can see a variable x in the memory location has been created. In I mean by memory I mean the random access memory, and x has been created and the value of 0 has been assigned to x. Now let's see whether x less than 5 is true or false. Yes, it's true. So the control of the program enters the loop body. Print x, let's execute this, and I get the first value printed as 0. I get the first value printed as 0. Now x plus equal to 1, the value of x should be incremented by 1. I will execute this, and the value of x becomes 1 in the memory, okay, and the control shifts back to the entry condition of the while loop. Again this condition will be evaluated. X, the value of x is 1 less than 5, true. So I will execute this, and it will come inside the loop body. Print x, the value of x 1 is being printed out. Then x plus equals to 1, execute, the value of x becomes 2, and again the control goes back to the entry condition. Again 2 is checked with 5. If it's true, it will go inside and it will execute the loop body. So I will just quickly finish the iterations till the value of 5. When x less than 5 no longer gives us true, it will give us false, and the program finishes execution. So this is how an equivalent while loop implementation can be written for a for loop, okay. I will just clear the terminal, okay. This is how you can write an equivalent implementation of while loop for a for loop. Now let's go to an important part. Let's learn two important statements that can be used inside a loop. Inside a loop, by that I mean you can use it inside a for loop, you can also use it inside a while loop. Let's say I want to teach you break statement. What does break statement do? Let's say I write a break statement at the start of the loop body. Okay, at the start of the loop body, and now I want to execute this. Okay, so what will be my output? Will I be able to run this code, run without debugging, and I get no output, nothing, no output. Why is that I don't get any output? Because break indicates or break signifies that get out of the loop. As soon as the program control or the execution pointer, as soon as it executes the break statement, it will immediately tell Python, okay, get out of this while loop. This is the same behavior for a for loop as well. Okay, if I write a break statement inside the for loop, as soon as the program control executes the break statement, it signifies or it instructs, okay, get out of the for loop. So break is used for getting out or for exiting a iteration block. Okay, so you can use break to get out from a while loop or a for loop. Break comes in very handy. So what is the use of break? How can we use break in a proper situation? Let's say I want to print the values from 0 to 5. Let's say I write x less than or equal to 5. So I want to print the values from 0 to 5 excluding the value 3. Okay, excluding the value 3. How will you write that? It's pretty easy, right? Let's say I will put a condition over here. If x not equals 3, only then print x. How about this one? This one will suffice, right? So let's run this program. I want to print from 0 to 5 excluding 3. So let's run this program. So what is the value that I get? 0, 1, 2, 4, 5. So 3 is being excluded. Okay, simple enough. I just write an if block. Okay, that will check whether the value of x is not equals to 3. If the value of x is 3, okay, then this condition of x not equal to 3 will give me false, and hence the control will not enter the if block. So this one works fine, right? Now let's go for a second requirement. Let's say I comment out this code and I start a fresh one. Okay, so I will just paste this code. Now what I want is, as soon as you have the value of x is 3, I want to terminate this while loop. Let's say we have this requirement. Okay, as soon as the value of x becomes 3, I want to get out of this while loop. Then how will I do that? Pretty simple. I will just change this existing code. I will just write print x, and I will just cut down print x. I will just paste it somewhere over here, right? And if x becomes 3, let's say if x equals 3, okay, then I will use a break statement. Okay, so once again x equal to 0 while x less than equal to 5, this loop body will be executed till the value of x is less than equal to 5. Theoretically it should, right? But I have inserted an if condition over here that if x, the value of x is 3, then break. What will be my output? So let us run this program, and my output is 0, 1, 2. I don't get 3, 4, 5. Why? Because since the value of x equal to 3, the program control executes the break statement and it gets out of the loop. Okay, so let's put a debug pointer over here and let's run it in the debugging mode. Let's see how the program control executes. Okay, first x equal to 0, let's execute this statement. We have a variable x in the memory whose value is 0. Now while x less than equals to 5, execute x less than equal to 5 is true for us, correct? So value of x is 0. Now if x equals to 3, let's execute this. X equals 3, is the value of x equivalent to 3? No, it's not. So we will not, the program control will not enter the body of the if block. Okay, so it goes directly to the print statement. Print x, execute, x plus equal to 1, execute, and the value of x becomes 1. So this goes on till the value of x becomes 3. On the left hand side, the value of x becomes 3. Now 3 less than equal to 5, it is true. The control will come inside the body of the while loop, execute, fine. Now if x equals 3, is this true or false? The value of x is 3, so this will give us a true. As soon as it is true, the control will come inside the if block and it will execute the break statement. Let's say I execute this if statement and the control comes inside the body of the if. Now as soon as I execute the break statement, the control will get out of this while loop and the program terminates. So my output is 0, 1, 2. So bottom line is, break statement is used to get out of any iteration block, be it a for loop or be it a while loop. The same thing is also applicable for a for loop as well. Okay, let's say I will just copy this code, comment it out, I will make some space for it. Okay, we copy this code. I will just write a for loop quickly over here. So let's say x equals to 0. I will delete this. I will delete this while for x in range 0, 6, let's say, and I will delete this. Okay, print x, I don't need a increment x plus equal to 1 statement because it automatically gets incremented over here. If the value of x is 3, then break, otherwise print x. Okay, so let's run this and I get the same output 0, 1, 2. Same thing happens. As soon as the value of x becomes 3, 3 equals 3 gives us true, and then program control enters the if block and executes the break statement. This makes the program control get out of the for loop. Okay, so this is how break statement works. Now there is another statement called continue. Continue. So how are we going to use continue? Why do we use continue? Okay, let's say I want to print the values from 0 till 5, okay, from 0 till 5, and I want to skip the value 3. How will I do that? I will use a continue for this purpose. Let's say if value of x equal to 3, I will just change the statement to continue. Okay, so now let's see what is the output. Very important. What is the job of continue statement? The job of continue statement is to skip the current iteration from continuing on. Okay, the job of a continue statement is to skip the current iteration and go to the next iteration. Okay, so now the point is, from which statement will the iteration be skipped? Well, as soon as the continue statement is executed, the iteration will be skipped, the particular ongoing iteration will be skipped and the next iteration will start. Okay, so once you execute the continue statement, there is no execution after continue statement. Even if you write like 10-30 lines of code, those lines of code will not be executed. These lines of code will not be executed, because once continue has executed, the statements coming after continue, they will not be executed. The entire iteration will be skipped and the program control will move on to the next iteration. Okay, so let's see this in action. What is the output? Let's say I will run without debugging and I get 0, 1, 2, 4, 5. So 3 is skipped. 3 is skipped. Okay. You might remember in the previous example we were using if x not equal to 3 print x. Okay. So, in this example I have done it a bit differently. I have skipped x, but with the help of a continue statement. Okay. So, let us see it in detail, let us see it in action. So, let us run this, start debugging, Python file. Okay. For x in range 0, 6 execute, I get an x variable in the memory whose value is 0. Is 0 equal to 3? No, it will not enter the if block, it will just skip the if block for now and it will print x. So, the value of x I get is 0. Now, again execute, value of x becomes 1, again if block is skipped, print x, execute, and the value 1 is printed out. This continues on till we get the value of x as 3. Now, since x equals since x equals 3 satisfies, okay, x equals 3 evaluates to true. Now, the program control jumps to the continue statement. As soon as it executes the continue statement, the program control will skip the current iteration and go for the next iteration. Let us say it executes. See, after continue, the print text does not get executed. Even though this print statement is outside the if block, still this will not be executed, because as soon as you execute the continue statement, the program control jumps to the next iteration. So, now I will just execute, keep on executing, and my program finishes and I get an output as 0, 1, 2, 4, 5. This is the job of a continue statement. Okay. The next question might be, can I use a break statement and a continue statement simultaneously in a loop? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay. Let us say I will change my requirement. Let us say we have a requirement. Before that, I will just copy this code, I will comment it out. So, can we use break and continue together inside a iteration block? Okay. So, yes, it is possible. How is it possible? Let us say my requirement is if the value of x is 3, then I will continue, which means I will skip the current iteration, but if the value of x is 5, then break. Let us see what this block of code does. Again, run without debugging, and my output is 0, 1, 2, 4. So, not only it skipped 3, after the value of x becomes 4, you get out of the entire loop. Okay. So, let us see this in the debugging mode, start debugging, Python file, yes. Okay. So, I get a memory, I get a variable x in the memory whose value is 0, execute. Is x equals to 3? No, it is false. So, the control does not go inside the if block. Now, elif x equals 5. Is this x is the value of x equals 5? No. So, again the program control does not enter the elif block. Okay. Now, it comes to print x, the value of x is 0. Okay. Same thing for x equals 2, right? The value of x being 2 is the same thing, right? Up till 2 it will be the same thing. So, let us say the value of x is currently 2, execute, execute, print x. So, up till 2 everything is fine. Now, let us see what happens. Now, the value of x is 3. If x equals 3, obviously this will evaluate to true, the control will come inside the continue statement and it will execute the continue statement. On executing the continue statement, the program control will not proceed further with execution, it will just skip the current iteration and move on to the next iteration. So, I will execute this and it moves on to the next iteration. So, the value of x becomes 4, execute and print x. So I get the output 4. Now the value of x will become 5. Now if x equals 3, obviously this is false because the value of x is 5. So it will not enter the if block. If it doesn't enter the if block, then it will go to the elif block and check the condition. So it goes to the elif block. It will check the condition. If x equals 5, yes, the value of x equals 5. So this condition will give me true. If it is true, it will go inside the elif block. So execute. Now as soon as I execute the break statement, okay, the entire control will exit this for loop. So if I, let's say, execute and my program terminates, I get an output of 0, 1, 2, 4. So even if let's say I want to print the values till 7, okay, yet I will get the same output 0, 1, 2, 4, because after 5 we execute the break statement, which means it gets out of the entire for loop. So for the value of x6 and for the value of x6, that part never executes, so that part never comes. So I will just run this once more without debugging mode, and I get the value 0, 1, 2, 4. Okay, so this time also 6 being ignored, rather 6, the value of x being 6, we won't come to that stage as we are breaking out of the for loop when x is equals 5. This is basically the use of break and continue statements inside a iteration block. The same philosophy or the same procedure applies for a while loop as well. Same thing. Okay. So now after continue and break statements, we will move on to a special else block that can be applied to an iteration block, which means we can have a special else block for a for loop. Let's say for with else. This is very special. For with else. Normally we write else with an if, right? Okay, and else normally accompanies an if block, but Python gives you the opportunity to write else blocks with iteration blocks. Okay, so you can write an else block with a for loop, or you can write an else block with a while loop. Now what exactly is the functionality of an else block with a for loop or a while loop? Basically, whenever you want to execute code after your loop runs successfully till its completion, okay, whenever you want to run your code after your loop runs successfully, always keep that code in a else block. Okay, so let's say print x. Okay, so let's run this statement. The value comes same 0, 1, 2, 4. Okay, I get the same value 0, 1, 2, 4. Okay, so where is the else block? As I said, the else block only executes if your for loop executes successfully. But if your for loop has a break statement, and if that break statement executes, thus terminating the for loop, then you will never enter the else block. Very important thing, if your loop ends abruptly, or if your loop terminates because of a break statement, then you won't be able to go inside the else block. The code inside an else block will only be executed if your for loop runs successfully. Okay. Does the else block depend on a continue statement? No. The continue statement does not exit from the loop. Only the break statement does. Right. So if I just comment this code out, okay, and if I run this program, let's see what is the value of, let's say I want to print not the value of x, I will just print inside special else block. I will just print this statement. Okay, so now you can see whenever your loop completes successfully, only then the program control will enter the else block. Okay, let's run this code, and I get the output 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 and the statement from the else block which is inside special else block. Why did this statement get executed? Because my loop has run successfully. Let's see it in the debugging mode to understand it much better. Let's say I will execute this statement. We have a variable x whose value is 0 in the memory. If x equals 3, which is false, then print x, value I get as an output is 0, and then the control jumps to the next iteration. Value of x becomes 1, print x. Okay, now the value of x will become 2. Okay, the value of x becomes 2 and execute print x. So up till now 0, 1, 2 I get the output. Now the value of x turns 3, and for 3, as you know, we will execute the continue statement, and after executing this the current iteration will be skipped. So the next iteration will get x, the value of x as 4, print x, 4 gets printed out, and now the value of x will turn 5, print 5, then 6, print 6. Now very important, since my loop completes successfully, the control of the program goes inside the else block, and now it will execute inside special else block. So let's execute this statement, and now we get the output inside special else block. So the else block runs only when the for loop is successful. The same fundamentals apply for the while loop as well. Okay, now let's see what if a break statement gets executed. What will happen? Obviously, if the loop abruptly ends due to a break statement, then we won't be able to go inside a else block, right? So let's say I will just run this in the debugging mode. I can file. Okay, so the value of x, I will just continue the iterations till the value of x becomes 5. So execute, 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 execute. Value of x is 3, continue, that's fine. Value of x is 4, good to go. Now the value of x is 5. It comes inside the elif block, and now if I execute break statement, the control will directly jump out of the for loop, and this else block will not be executed because the loop ends abruptly due to the break statement. So I will just execute this and my code finishes. So I don't get this output inside special else block. I don't get this output. So I just get the value 0, 1, 2, 4. Okay. Now there might be a use case scenario where you might feel that, okay, now that we know that the else block only executes after the successful completion of the for loop, so where can we use the else block? What is the use case for this else block? Well, we can look at an example how this can be done. Okay, let's say the prime numbers. Let's say we will find out if a number is a prime or not. So we will take an arbitrary number. Let's say the number equals to 23. Okay, 23 being a prime number. So let's say for x in range, we will start dividing the number starting from 2 till the value of 1, which is less than 23. Okay, till the value of 22 basically. So num minus 1, 23 minus 1 is 22. So I will start dividing this number 23 with starting from 2 till 22, which is 23 minus 1, excluding 23. So I will let a simple statement over here, x mod 2 equals 0. If this equals 0, then I know that the number is not a prime number. So I will just write over here print the number, rather I will just write not prime. Okay, I will just remove these statements. Okay, and after printing not prime, I will just use a break statement to get out of the loop. But if my loop executes successfully, then I definitely know that the number is a prime number. So in that case I will write prime number, right. I will just explain it once again. I take a value num equals to 23. I will start dividing this number 23 starting from 2. So I will divide this 23 by 2, I will divide 23 by 3, I will divide 23 by 4, and this will go on till I divide 23 with 22. Now for a prime number it should only be divisible by 1 and by itself. Other than that it should not have any factors, it should not be divisible by any other number. In case if a number gets divided by any other number, then that is not a prime number. So okay, I just committed a mistake, I guess. So this one will be num mod x. Sorry for that, num mod x. Okay, so if the number I will divide this number, I will go on dividing this number with the value of x. Okay, and x, the value of x will start from 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on till 22. So this number gets divided by 2, then in the next iteration this number gets divided by 3, then in the next iteration this number gets divided by 4 and so on till the value of 22. Now in any of those divisions, if the remainder comes as 0, which means that number, the number 23, if it gets divided by any other number, then I definitely know this number 23 is not a prime number. So I will go inside the if block, I will print not prime, and I will break from the for loop. The moment I use the break statement for a for loop, I know that the else block will not be executed, right. But since the number is 23, it's a prime number, so this if block will never be executed, which means my loop will execute successfully and then my control will come inside the else block. So let's run this program once. See, we get the output prime number, but if we, let's say, give the input as 24, so what will be my output? Not prime. So this is how you can use a else block for a prime number example. Obviously there are many examples where you can use an else block, this is just a simple one. Okay, so the main logic behind writing an else block is, if you think that your loop might execute properly and successfully, then you can definitely leverage the power of an else block. But if you think your loop might end abruptly because of a break statement, then the control won't go inside the else block. So in that case, avoid writing code inside an else block. Okay, so the same logic for an else block applies for a while loop as well. Okay, let's do one thing. I will just copy this portion of the code and I will comment this out. I will create some space. I will go inside this. Okay, so let's convert this for loop into a while loop. Okay, so let's say num equals to 24. I will start the while loop. Let's say something, I will write something like this: while x less than x less than num. Okay, and x, I will start the value of x from 2, correct, and I will increment the value of x with 1. Okay, so num equals to 24, x equals to 2. I will start dividing the particular number 24 with x up till how much? Up till a digit which is less than 24. Let's say 23. Okay, so the value of x starts from 2. If num mod x equals 0, then print not prime and execute the break statement. If the number mod x does not come as 0, then continue normal execution. Then you will increment the value of x with 1. So let's run the same implementation in a while loop. The same implementation we had for a for loop. Now almost the same code for a while loop. So let's run this code. Let's see what happens. So we get not prime, which is correct. So let's test our program with 23, and we will run this without debugging, and we get prime number. Okay, so whatever logic applies for the for loop with else block, the same logic also applies for a while loop with the else block.